Deuteronomy Chapter 28. Today I am giving you the laws and teachings of the Lord your God. Always obey them, and the Lord will make Israel the most famous and important nation on earth, and He will bless you in many ways. The Lord will make your business and your farms successful. You will have many children. You will harvest large crops, and your herds of cattle, a flock of sheep and goats will produce many young. You will have plenty of bread to eat. The Lord will make you successful in your daily work. The Lord will help you defeat your enemies and make them scatter in all directions. The Lord your God is giving you the land, and He will make sure you are successful in everything you do. Your harvest will be so large that your storehouse will be full. If you follow and obey the Lord, He will make you His own special people, just as He promised. Then everyone on earth will know that you belong to the Lord, and they will be afraid of you. The Lord will give you a lot of children and make sure that your animals give birth to many young. The Lord promised your ancestors that this land would be yours, and He will make it produce large crops for you. The Lord will open the storehouses of the skies where He keeps the rain, and He will send rain on your land at just the right times. He will keep you successful in everything you do. You will have plenty of money to lend to other nations, but you won't need to borrow any yourself. Obey the laws and teachings that I am giving you today, and the Lord your God will make Israel a leader among the nations and not a follower. Israel will be wealthy and powerful, not poor and weak. But you must not reject any of His laws and teachings or worship other gods. Israel, today I am giving you the laws and teachings of the Lord your God, and if you don't obey them, He will put many curses on you. Your businesses and farms will fail. You won't have enough bread to eat. You will have only a few children. Your crops will be small, and your herds of cattle and flocks of sheep and goats won't produce many young. The Lord will make you fail in everything you do. No matter what you try to accomplish, the Lord will confuse you, and you will feel His anger. You won't last long, and you may even meet with disaster, all because you rejected the Lord. The Lord will send terrible diseases to attack you, and you will never be well again. You will suffer with burning fever and swelling and pain until you die, somewhere in the land that you capture. The Lord will make the sky overhead seem like a bronze roof that keeps out the rain, and the ground under your feet will become as hard as iron. Your crops will be scorched by the hot east wind or ruined by mildew. He will send dust and sandstorms instead of rain, and you will be wiped out. The Lord will let you be defeated by your enemies, and you will scatter in all directions. You will be a horrible sight for the other nations to see, and no one will disturb the birds and wild animals while they eat your dead bodies. The Lord will make you suffer with diseases that will cause oozing sores or crusty, itchy patches on your skin or boils, like the ones that are common in Egypt. And there will be no cure for you. You will become insane and go blind. The Lord will make you so confused that even in bright sunshine, you will have to feel your way around like a blind person who cannot tell day from night. For the rest of your life, people will beat and rob you, and no one will be able to stop them. A man will be engaged to a woman, but before they can get married, she will be raped by enemy soldiers. Some of you will build houses but never get to live in them. If you plant a vineyard, you won't be around long enough to enjoy the first harvest. Your cattle will be killed while you watch, but you won't get get to eat any of the meat. Your donkeys and sheep will be stolen from you, and no one will be around to force your enemies to give them back. Your sons and daughters will be dragged off to a foreign country while you stand there helpless, and even if you watch them for them until you go blind, you will never see them again. You will work hard on your farms, but everything you harvest will be eaten by foreigners who will mistreat you and abuse you for the rest of your life. What you see will be so horrible that you will go insane, and the Lord will punish you from head to toe with boils that never heal. The Lord will let you and your king be taken captive to a country that you and your ancestors have never even heard of, and there you will have to worship idols made of wood and stone. People of nearby countries will shadow when they see your terrible troubles, but they will still make fun of you. You will plant a lot of seed but gather a small harvest because locusts will eat your crops. You will plant vineyards and work hard of taking care of them, but you won't gather any grapes, much less get any wine, and the vines themselves will be eaten by worms. Even if your olive trees grow everywhere in your country, the olives will fall off before they are ready, and there won't be enough olive oil for combing your hair. Even your infant sons and daughters will be taken as prisoners of war. Locusts will come, eat your crops and strip your trees and leaves and fruit. Foreigners in your towns will become wealthy and powerful, while you become poor and powerless. You will be so short of money that you will have to borrow from those foreigners. They will be the leaders in the community, and you will be the followers. Israel, if you don't obey the laws and teachings that the Lord your God is giving you, He will send these curses to chase, attack, and destroy you. Then everyone will look at you and your descendants and realize that the Lord has placed you under a curse. If the Lord makes you wealthy, but you don't joyfully worship and honor Him, He will send enemies to attack you and make you their slaves. Then you will live in poverty with nothing to eat, drink, or wear, and your owners will work you to death. Foreigners who speak a strange language will be sent to attack you without warning, just like an eagle swooping down. They won't show any mercy, and they will have no respect for old people or pity for children. They will take your cattle, sheep, goats, grain, wine, and olive oil, then leave you to starve all over the land that the Lord your God gave you. The enemy army will surround your towns. You may feel safe inside your town walls, but the enemy will tear them down while you wait in horror. Finally, you will get so hungry that you will eat the sons and daughters that the Lord gave you because of hunger. A man who had been gentle and kind will eat his own children and refuse to share that meal with his brother or wife or with his other children. A woman may have grown up in such luxury that she never had to put a foot on the ground, but times will be so bad that she will secretly eat both her newborn baby and the afterbirth without sharing any with her husband or her other children. You must obey everything in the book of God's law, because if you don't respect the Lord, He will punish you and your descendants with incurable diseases, like those you were so afraid of in Egypt. Remember, if the Lord decides to destroy your nations, He can use any disease or disaster, not just the ones written in the book of God's law. There are as many as you know as the stars in the sky. But if you disobey the Lord your God, only a few of you will be left. The Lord is happy to make you successful and to help your nations grow while you conquer land. But if you disobey Him, He will be just as happy to pull you up your roots. by your roots. Those of you that survive will be scattered to every nation on earth, and you will have to worship stone and wood idols that never helped you or your ancestors. You will be restless, always longing for home, but never able to return. You will live in constant fear of death. Each morning you will wake up to such terrible sights that you'll say, I wish it were night. But at night you will be terrified and say, I wish it were day. I told you never to go back to Egypt, but now the Lord Himself will load you on ships and send you back. Then you will even try to sell yourselves as slaves, but no one will be interested. Deuteronomy Chapter 29. So Moses finished telling the Israelites what they had to do in order to keep the agreement the Lord was making with them in Moab, which was in addition to the one the Lord has made with them at Mount Sinai. Moses called the nations of Israel together and told them, when you were in Egypt, you saw the Lord perform great miracles that caused trouble for the king, his officials, and everyone else in the country. He has even told you for 40 years, I, the Lord, led you through the desert, but your clothes and your sandals didn't wear out, and I gave you special food. I did these things so you would realize that I am your God. But the Lord must give you a change of heart before you truly understand what you have been seen and heard. When we first camped here, King Shaham of Heshbon, king of Og of Bashan, attacked, but we defeated them. Then we captured their land and divided it among the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and East Manasseh. Israel, the Lord has been an agreement with you, and if you keep your part, you will be successful in everything you do. Today, everyone in our nation is standing here in the Lord's presence, including leaders and officials, parents and children, and even those foreigners who cut wood and carry water for us. We are at the place of worship to promise that we will keep our part of the agreement with the Lord our God. In this agreement, the Lord promised that you would be His people and that He would be your God. He first made this promise to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And today the Lord is making this same promise to you. But if it isn't just for you, it is also for your descendants. When we lived in Egypt, you saw the Egyptians worship disgusting idols of wood, stone, silver, and gold. Then, as we traveled through other nations, you saw those people worship other disgusting idols. So make sure that everyone in your tribe remains faithful to the Lord and never starts worshipping gods of other nations. If you even one of you worship idols, you will be like the root of a plant that produces bitter poisonous fruit. You may be an Israelite and now know all about the Lord's agreement with us, but He won't bless you if you rebel against Him. You may think you can get away with it, but you will cause the rest of Israel to be punished along with you. The Lord will be furious, and instead of forgiving you, He will separate you from the other tribes. Then He will destroy you, by piling on you all the curses in the book of God's law, and you will be forgotten forever. The Lord will strike your country with diseases and disaster. Your descendants and foreigners from distant countries will see that your land has become scorching desert of salt and sulfur, where nothing is planted, nothing sprouts, and nothing grows. It will be as lifeless as the land around the cities of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim. After the Lord became angry and destroyed them, people from other nations will ask, why did the Lord destroy this country? Why was He so furious? And they will be given this answer. Our ancestors worshipped the Lord, but after He brought them out of Egypt and made an agreement with them, they rejected the agreement and decided to worship gods that had never helped them. The Lord had forbidden Israel to worship these gods, and so He became furious and punished the land with all the curses in the book of God's law. Then He pulled by the roots and tossed them into a foreign country, where they still are today. The Lord our God hasn't explained the present or the future, but He has commanded us to obey the laws He gave to us and our descendants. Deuteronomy Chapter 30. I have told you everything the Lord your God will do for you, and I have also told you the curses He will put you on you if you reject Him. He will scatter you in faraway countries, but when you realize that He is punishing you, return to Him with all your heart and soul and start obeying the commands I have given to you today. Then He will stop punishing you and treat you with kindness. He will have so he will have scattered you to the farthest countries on earth, but He will bring you back to the land that had belonged to your ancestors and make you even more successful and powerful than they ever were. You and your descendants are stubborn, but the Lord will make you willing to obey Him and love Him with all your heart and soul, and you will enjoy a long life. Then the Lord your God will remove the curses from you and put them on those enemies who hate and attack you. You will again obey the laws and teachings of the Lord, and He will bless you with many children, large herds, and flocks, and abundant crops. The Lord will be happy to do good things for you, just as He did for your ancestors. But you must decide once and for all to worship Him with all your heart and soul and to obey everything in the book of God's law. You know God's laws, and it isn't impossible to obey them. His commands aren't in heaven, so you can't excuse yourselves by saying, how can we obey the Lord's commands? They are in heaven, and no one can go up to get them, then bring them down and explain them to us. And you can't say, how can we obey the Lord's commands? They are across the sea.